Hi guys, today I'm doing a video on the 410 and whether it's able to take whitetail deer comfortably. Obviously with slugs. I'm going to compare it with a few other calibers that are well known and some that are well accepted in the deer hunting community and some that aren't. So I guess here we go. The gun I got there is a New England Firearms Partner model SB1. It can take up to 3-inch shot shells or slugs. Obviously it's a single shot and just a bead for a front sight. It's a very inexpensive shotgun. I believe I got this when I was about 7. It was one of my first guns and I have shot everything from squirrels to rabbits to just pests and rodents, just all sorts of small game with it. They're an excellent training tool and they're extremely safe. If you know how to decock the hammer, they're very safe. One shot, and they're cheap. I think they're $170 at the very most. But I'm just going to talk about it a little bit today. I got some numbers here with I'm reading them off my notes here. A 410 with a 2.5-inch slug is traveling about 1,830 feet per second with about 651 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. A 3-inch slug out of the 410 is traveling about 1,800 feet per second at 788 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. A little bit over 100 foot-pounds more than the 2.5-inch. The 2.5-inch is a 1/5 of an ounce. The 3-inch is a 1/4 of an ounce. Now we can compare that to a 9mm, which is 115 grain at 1,190 feet per second and 362 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. Obviously they tested those out of a handgun, but I'm using it as an example. Another gun that's pretty well accepted, it may not be anyone's top choice, but a lot of people have used it for deer hunting, is a 357 Magnum. At 1,235 feet per second and 535 foot-pounds of kinetic energy, and that's 158 grain. And by the way, all my ammo ballistics are coming right from Winchester Ammunition's website. So this is exactly what they say, and I picked through them for the hunting loads. And then one that is maybe not in the quite same bracket, but it's somewhere close, is a 30 carbine at 110 grain bullet, soft point of course. It's traveling at 1,990 feet per second and 967 pounds of kinetic energy. So if you look at this, a lot of states, the 9mm, the 357, and the 30 carbine are all legal for shooting deer. And you use a 3-inch slug or even a 2.5-inch slug out of a 410 is stronger than the 9mm and 357. Not by a lot, but enough. And as far as range, I would say a comfortable range for a 410 slug would be bow range, maybe extended a little bit. You could probably shoot 55 yards. I would be really hesitant with this shotgun because it isn't rifled and it's just got a plain, pretty vague bead sight. But I imagine you could 35, 40 yards be rather comfortable. And a lot of states the 410 isn't legal. I know in Wisconsin it isn't, but Wisconsin the 357 is, and I believe the 9mm is also. And they're both less lethal, as you would put it, than the 410. So I don't know, but I know some other states are definitely, because they advertise on the box, and I did some research online. I think Minnesota's legal. Now I ain't positive, but in fact I know there are states that are legal. And a 30 carbine is legal, I think, everywhere. But right here I got a slug to show you. This is a 2.5-inch Winchester Super X with 1/5 ounce slug in there. And this is 357 right here. So if you can see them together, that's kind of the difference. You can't really compare handgun cartridge with a shotgun cartridge, but that's just for a reference. So that's what I wanted to do to start this out. It's going to be kind of an oddball test. Tomorrow, when I get the chance, hopefully, I'll do some penetration and just range tests on this. I ain't going to be really accurate, I do not believe. I shot this with slugs at 40 yards and I was within a pie plate, but for me that isn't acceptable for deer. You need to be more accurate than that. But yeah, if you just wait till tomorrow, I'll have some videos of water jugs and maybe some 2x4s or oak boards and maybe some steel, just to get an idea what kind of power it has. Alrighty, thank you. Alright, we're out. We're gonna shoot the 410 here. This is ammunition, 410, 1/5 ounce slug. You can see the deer on there. We're gonna shoot at 25 yards. I can't promise superb accuracy, but we'll just see here. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and shoot. Go look at it. Alright, and here's where they fell. The first one's the farthest to the left. I don't know if the bead is bent or what, but the first shot I was holding right on, and that's where it hit. The second two shots I held over on the far side here, and they hit there. So imagine if the bead was straight, it'd be halfway accurate. Alright, now we're going to try some minor penetration tests at 25 yards. Alright, for this test we're going to shoot a brick that's on the left and a wood and bottle test that's on the other side. Alright, now the wood and then water one. We'll go check it out. Alright, here we go. That's what happened to the brick. I broke it right in half. If you want to see, that's kind of how thick it is compared to my hand. And then the wooden and water jug ones, these are inch thick oak boards, so they're hardwood. Went through the first board and went through this jug and actually bounced off this board. So I went through one board and a jug and bounced off that board. I can't find the slug anywhere. Alright, so we'll try a couple other ones. Alright, now we're just going to shoot some more bottles and some wood. Okay, this is what we got left over. We got the jugs, and I must say the 410 slug absolutely shreds these half-gallon jugs. I assume it would do the same with a gallon. Just totally. This one even has a bunch of chunks of wood in it that blowing from through the board. And I take that back. I found this one must have passed through a few jogs and got lodged sideways in there. And this is the very first shot. I found this laying on the ground. That's a 1/5 ounce slug. That's all that's left. But now the question is, in conclusion, do I think a 410 slug is good enough for whitetail? After seeing what I did today, I hit everything I wanted to shoot at, and it did do damage. But with this kind of gun, my limit would be 40 yards. If you got a really nice 870 with a red dot or something on it that's shooting 410 slugs, probably 60 yards. With the 3-inch. With the 2.5 inch, 30-40 yards at the most. But I think they can kill deer with respect for distance and shot placement, because you hit them bad, it's going to be a nightmare. But is it capable of taking deer? I would say most definitely. 50 yards or less, maybe a little bit farther. I wouldn't push it much though. Well, that's been my video. Thanks for watching.